Hi there, my name is Kim and these are the Wayrider Chronicles, my alternative look at current affairs. Hi there, let's talk about the European elections, or the European Parliament elections that happened last weekend. I'm not going to go into all the details of the elections, it's very complex and that's not the point I'm trying to make with this video. What I'm trying to do is to show, what I would like to use is a sort of a European word. I'm from French, used in French, might use in Italian, I'm not sure. Dislocation, dislocation. There is a dislocation in reporting of what happened over the weekend between the main English language or Anglo-Saxon press and what actually happened on the ground. Let's look at it from one obsession with especially UK press, which is carried over to a certain extent by the Americans, but not quite as much. The Australians pick up on it, but again, not quite as much as the British press. That is the obsession with the extreme right wing. And in my view, where they get it wrong, or where it's not getting wrong, but it's an emphasis of something which is not there. And that is that, for example, in Italy, Giorgia Meloni's party, Fratelli d'Italia, Brothers of Italy, every time they mention that party and her name, they will talk about the fact that at some stage in her distant past, she mentioned something positive to do with Mussolini. That emphasis is, quite frankly, boring. Every single major article you will see written about Fratelli d'Italia and Giorgia Meloni will at some stage make a reference to the fact, oh, by the way, you know, she said she was a supporter of Mussolini. It's beside the point. It's actually irrelevant. It's totally irrelevant to what is happening or what she is doing as a leader in Italy. And yes, you can bring it up as, yes, it has been brought up in the past, but it doesn't really actually mean anything. So that's one thing. Next thing is, there was again, a huge emphasis on the fact that Emmanuel Macron of France called a snap election, and that the fact that Schulz, the German Chancellor, sort of was very wobbly, etc., etc. What was downplayed because from the Anglo-Saxon press point of view, there again was an obsession leading up to these European parliamentary elections, was the fact that Ursula von der Leyen, who's the leader of the European Parliament, she was out. She was going to get thrown out. There's no way she's going to win, etc., etc. That has not happened. Again, it's a read of the political situation in Europe that is seen, in my view, from people who, English speakers interpreting something that, for want of a better way of putting it, for the misinterpretation, they don't speak the European languages, they don't watch European TV, they don't, and as a consequence, they really don't get the subtleties of what's going on. They fall into a trap, which a lot of English speakers do when looking at a situation in a country where, in Europe, especially in Europe, they will come to a conclusion based on a preconceived idea, one. Two, on an interpretation of something that has been translated for them, or a understanding of a situation which they think they have managed to grasp, but they haven't. It's a very easy thing to do. I know, I've lived in Europe for many, many years. It's easy to come to the wrong conclusion about what people are thinking. And it happens all the time, especially with the British press. They seem to fall flat on their face on numerous occasions, getting the European situation wrong. The next point was that a whole bunch of socialists, so we're talking about the left wing, so the emphasis was that all the right-wing extremists were going to come into power, and etc., etc. Leave aside the French situation, which is completely a typical French presidential tactic, midterm, when things are not going well. It's happened in the past, it's not unusual, and there have been 2 periods of cohabitation, as they call it, under Mitterrand and I think de Gaulle, I'm not sure. Sorry, don't quote me. No, I think it was Chirac and Mitterrand, where they were obliged, because the French presidential term is long, they're in power for nearly 7 years, they're obliged to have essentially, which is inconceivable for most Anglo-Saxons, it's like having in the UK a Tory Prime Minister, or let's say a Tory head of government, but the Parliament is Labour. In America, it would be like having, in America probably, anyway, we won't go into that. It's something that, it's a tactic that happens a lot in France. It's not unusual. The next thing was that all the socialists were going to get thrown out. Didn't happen. In fact, Finland, I believe Finland, Denmark and Sweden, didn't happen. Actually, they did pretty well. The only thing that everybody probably got right was, or to a certain extent, was that the fall of the Green parties. I'd just like to emphasize that in Europe, there are lots of complexities. But, as I've said in a video in the past, for the last 67 years, since 1957, when the first European sort of union idea was conquered with the Treaty of Rome, every major Anglo-Saxon commentator has regularly over the years, Europe's finished, it's going to die, it's all going to blow up, it's never going to work, the euro's not going to work, this is all going to fall apart, this is not happening, it's not going to work. Still here, still going strong, still countries wanting to join it. All politics is local. When politics is at a level whereby it's as complex as it is in Europe, with all different languages, different people, and all the complex history, becomes even more local, if you want. And it still surprises me that every time something major happens in Europe, the Anglo-Saxon press gets it wrong. I wouldn't say they get it completely wrong, but they get it wrong regularly. Go figure. See you guys.